Kia ora, my name is Ben and I manage the development and operations at Agreeable.
And my name is Wuramu and I'm the first point of contact when you get in touch with Agreeable.
Agreeable is all about making the process of getting a legally binding relationship property or separation agreement easy.
We provide DIY agreements which Ben and I will review and discuss with you directly.
We then provide a fixed fee quote for 2 independent lawyers, one for each party, to advise and certify the agreement.
We will shortly introduce you to some of the lawyers that we work with.
They'll talk you through some of the most common questions we get from clients who get in touch with Agreeable.
Our hope is to provide insight into some of the people you will be working with, should you choose to certify with Agreeable.
If you still have questions after hearing from the lawyers, please do not hesitate to get in touch on 0800 9 AGREE.
If parties want their agreement to be enforceable, the Property Relationships Act requires each party to meet with an independent lawyer and receive advice on the effect and implications of the agreement they are signing. Once this advice has been provided, each lawyer certifies that this process has been completed. Agreeable makes the certification process both cost and time effective. There's no need to meet a lawyer in person. It's all done online, which cuts out travel costs and provides flexibility so the agreement can be completed at any time.
If you don't declare the asset and leave it out, then the agreement won't apply to it. If you want to protect that asset, you have to disclose the details to your partner and the 2 lawyers involved that advise you both. You hire a lawyer to ensure that your agreement is watertight, and we are here to achieve that goal with you.
One reason a court can set aside a relationship property agreement, whether it's a contracting out agreement or a separation agreement, is if giving effect to the agreement would cause serious injustice. Serious injustice can be evident at the time an agreement is signed. For example, an unfair distribution of assets may mean that an agreement is seriously unjust. This is part of the advice I give my clients at the time they sign the agreement. Even if some property is kept separate, the courts expect that a couple in a relationship does develop a pool of relationship property and that that property is shared if they separate. If an agreement doesn't provide for the development of a pool of relationship property at all, then it is at risk of being set aside. For some people, it's a matter of circumstances changing over time, so an agreement that was acceptable has become seriously unjust. This is a potential issue with all contracting out agreements. People often seek to keep their pre-relationship property separate, but the longer the relationship continues, the less fair this may be. Particular issues arise when there's a disparity of income, so that over time one person develops a greater pool of separate property than the other. Issues also arise when there's a major change in circumstances in the household, such as illness, children, or purchasing real estate together. So contracting out agreements should be reviewed from time to time, just like a will, and if necessary, they need to be redone. Agreeable connects people who are wanting either a contracting out agreement or a separation agreement with lawyers like me who can advise them about the ins and outs of the particular agreement, including the risks of it being set aside by the court. Legal advice is necessary to ensure that somebody understands the effects of the agreement they are proposing to sign, as well as to protect against the risk of serious injustice. It is also a legal requirement for a binding agreement in New Zealand.
Relationship property agreements, whether they're separation agreements at the end of a relationship or contracting out at the beginning, are made complex by the lives of the people who are signing them. Whether it's blended family arrangements, inheritances, complex estate and business structures, these things all add to the complications in an agreement. In a separation agreement, anything other than an equal division of property makes the agreement complex. However, in a contracting out agreement, it's far more common that couples will provide for an unequal division of property in the future. In fact, this is the reason why couples choose to contract out of the provisions of the Act in many cases. If property is not being divided equally, There is a duty on both of the certifying lawyers to make sure that the parties signing the agreement understand the reasons why the property is not being divided equally and the implications of that. An agreement has to be fair, but provided both parties make an informed choice to divide their property unequally, it is their right to do that. Property might be divided unequally where there is economic disparity between the parties. That is where one party earns significantly more than the other. Or it might be unequal because the responsibility and cost involved in caring for children is being taken into account in the agreement. In principle, care of children and division of property should be kept separate in agreements, but it is possible to include the cost when considering the division of property. There is a principle under the law that when couples separate, they should have a clean break. This enables both of them to get on with their lives. Any agreement that provides for something other than a clean break will be complex. For example, if the agreement allows for separation payments to be made in instalments over a number of years, or if parties are going to continue owning property jointly together for a period of time after separation, the agreement will be complex. All of us who work with Agreeable as certifying lawyers are experts in relationship property law. We will review your agreement and give you advice on your specific circumstances. We may make suggestions for how you can change your agreement to make it less complex and easier to implement.
Build your brand online.